here. I know it seems it took us a while. The computers are having like little gnome issues this week, I swear.
Well, the weather isn't helping.
Are you having the bad weather too? Because Texas is like all over the news.
It's a snowy blizzard out there right now.
Oh, do you have a generator?
No, we haven't lost power.
Okay. But I mean, do you have
plans? We need the snow. We've had a very light winter, and so our ski resorts, our Olympic ski resorts, have been hurting. So they're happy now.
But if you did lose power, do you have a plan B?
Yeah, go to my friend's house. Okay. She has a generator.
With your snowshoes on, right?
Yes. Not quite that bad. It's just at the pretty stage. It's just fluffy coming down. Oh, no blizzard, just a.
Is it twinkling?
Mm-hmm. And not sticking. So we're still good.
That's good. Well, I want to just say thank you for being here tonight with me. And I hope that I'm going to go over to Facebook in a second to see how many people are joining us tonight. And if you are joining us, thank you for joining us. And please write in the comments, like, you know, say hi and where you're from, and maybe how you know Maxine, or have always wanted to meet Maxine, anything like that. And if you have questions for her, please put those in the comments too, because I will read them out loud to her and she'll give you your answer. If you are watching the replay, thank you for that. Thank you for joining us for that time for watch the replay. And you can still ask your questions. Make sure that you put like an @ in front of Maxine's name, and then she'll be notified that there's a question for her to answer. So, you know, don't despair. You can still have
don't despair.
So I'm just trying to give people a little time to find us. Because sometimes it's a little difficult for them to find us, but basically that's what I'm doing, killing time. So first question, really difficult, very hard. Take your time in answering it.
Okay.
Tell us where you're from.
The Army. No, that's what my kids say, because they were from all over. I was actually born in Spanish Fork, Utah, and I went to high school in Provo, Utah. And now I'm in Brigham City, Utah, after 32 moves.
Oh, Lordy. Wow. So where have you been? I mean, while you were married and raising your family, what other places did you go other than Utah?
We were stationed in Germany, and that's where I learned to paint. We were stationed in Korea and Washington, D.C., because my husband was in military intelligence, so we were always in Washington, D.C. or abroad, far from home.
There you go. So abroad, where were you abroad?
In Germany and Korea.
Just Germany and Korea?
Yes, and of course, when you live in Germany, you can go to any country in just a few hours. So we saw all of Europe. It
so
was
like
great.
On the train?
No, we could just drive.
Cool. Now, did they drive all on the same side of the road as us, or is it only a couple countries?
All except for England.
All except for England. Okay.
The UK is on opposite roads. Everywhere else is just the same as us.
That makes it easier, I think.
Sure enough. Yes.
So I'm just looking at, we have about 38 people watching. Please tag all your friends and let them know that Maxine's here, and so that they can join us. Oops, we're up to 41. Thank you, guys. And here's the next question. Did you come from an artistic family?
Actually, I didn't know that until I started doing what I was doing. All of my siblings were much older than me, and I found out that we all became artists as adults. And they're all different art. I have a brother who designs scenery for plays, And I had a brother who was a great carver, and I had a sister who was an oil painter, and I do what I do.
Does your sister sell oil paintings? Does she sell or does she teach or?
No, they have all passed away. She just did it for fun. They were, like I said, way older than me, and I'm up there, so they've been gone a while.
So
I'm an orphan right now.
You're the matriarch of your family.
Yes.
Yes. But that's exciting that they all found art, even if it was later in life, that they all found art.
And I found out, I didn't know this, and my older brother told me after my father passed away that he used to draw horses in the newspaper. When he was reading the newspaper, he'd draw horses in the margins. So that's probably where it came through, that line. I was always a doodler, but never really did much with it until I got to Germany. And they offered a toll painting class when I put my then only child on the kindergarten bus, and I was bored. So I went to the class, and the rest is history. That was 45 years ago.
And wow, well, you didn't have to tell everyone all your secrets. But I'm like saying, isn't that how a lot of us started though? Is when our youngest one went to school and we needed a hobby or something to keep us busy during the day while they were not, because housework, who wants to do that?
Truly.
So thank you everyone who's just joining us. And if you have any questions for Maxine, please put them in the comments area, and feel free to let us know how you know Maxine, or if you've painted her designs like I have and own every one of her books like I do. So let us know.
You've educated my children.
Oh, you're welcome. You made me sane for mine because I needed it. The next question is, really about when did you start, is when you said your youngest one went to school?
Mm-hmm.
And so at that point where you were just painting other people's designs?
I started out in a class that we painted daisies and strawberries on anything we could find. They were all Priscilla's designs. And then we moved on to Jo Sonia's books. They didn't have any color pictures back then. It was just a line drawing and paint, and they were oils. So I started out in oils and in the class, and that class lasted 6 weeks. And the teacher's husband was being rotated back to the States from Germany, and she announced to the class that I would be the next teacher. Of course, I said, well, that's not going to happen. And she said, you are the one that does the most. It's in your veins, obviously. So she says, you can do this. I've always had, every step I've made, it's always had somebody's knuckles in my back. I've always had somebody push me along. And so I've tried to do that for other people. So I started teaching then, and of course it was other people's designs and so forth.
So it wasn't very long between the time you started painting that you started teaching painting.
And wow. I thought I would be really smart and take from one of the masters in Germany. And so I signed up for classes to take from one of the masters. I don't even remember his name now. And all we did was draw lines to the horizon for days and days and days. So I said, enough of that. I don't want that. No, realism is not my bag. So I was painting, of course, other people's designs, and they all started looking like I wanted them to look. Pretty soon, I had a good friend who said, her name was Chris, and she said, why don't you just start from scratch and do one of your own designs? And of course I said I couldn't do that. And so after serious nagging, I did this little simple village called Appleseed Junction, and they were just cut out houses and basically base coated, sanded, and antiqued. And all of my students that I had at that time bought this little packet. So I thought maybe I can do this. And so then I did another one that was it was a Santa Claus with little hearts down an advent calendar. And then one more after that, and one more after that, and one more after that. It was wonderful.
And that is wonderful. Yeah. But it's so funny. I'm looking at the comments, and people are saying that they started with strawberries and oils too.
Yeah. We all did. That was the first 7 lessons of Priscilla Hauser.
So how much time do you think it was between the time you started painting to teaching to designing? Like, how fast was that in your life?
No, I started in 76, and I started designing my own in 88.
Okay. So there was a little bit of time.
Right.
The way you were talking, I'm like, wow, maybe that happened like all within 6 months.
No. I rushed it too fast. But I started designing, and the title of my packets was Country Primitives and Potpourri. Mm-hmm. And when I started doing books with Sushi, she said, you have got to shorten that name. It's going to be Country Primitives from now on.
And was she wise?
Yes, she was wise.
So that kind of leads to the next question. So which artist influenced you? You know, what would you say that influenced you the most?
My mentor?
Yeah.
Would have been Helen Cavan. And a lot of you out there probably don't even know that sweet lady, and it's sad that you don't, because she was just a Southern belle that was the sweetest person in all the world. And I love the folk art style, but I love to take from her because she made each one of her students feel like they were just an incredible painter. One time she came up behind me and she goes, oh my goodness, who is the student and who is the teacher? Of course, that makes you feel like the world just sets in her. So she didn't live long enough for me. She passed away early, and I was sad to see that. But she was the one that had most influence because I liked her folk art designs and I liked her.
Yes, she was a beautiful painter. I never had the opportunity to take her class or paint with her, but a lot of people in my close circle love her. So yeah, she's wonderful. We have a lot of people in the room that either have taken classes with you. Joyce says she's working on a Maxine Thomas piece today. A UFO from November 2018.
Oh my. Nothing like getting busy. Nothing like the present activity to make us do those UFOs.
There you go. But you always had a promise at the end of your classes that they promised. Right.
I made them swear.
You never told them how long, like when they had to have it done by.
That's right.
Dorothy wrote, I met Maxine years ago at MAD and took my first seminar with her then. I also have been fortunate enough to take seminars with her at NET and Steph's Folk Arts. Every class a blessing. Love her designs, and they are still always a big part of my show paintings. Strawberries and Mushrooms by Priscilla were also my start. Well, this one's nice, Lana. She wrote, I started painting on account of her. Loved the bench with the inserts.
Really? Oh, I'm touched. Thank you.
Isn't that sweet? So looking forward, a lot of people are going to Oklahoma. They're looking forward to, your upcoming teachings. So let me get on to our next question. What is your favorite subject matter?
Probably fall and Christmas. Definitely not spring. Everybody knows that spring is my least favorite.
Why would you say?
Why would I say that? Because it's sweet, it's pink, it's floral, all of the things I'm not.
Aha. See, I love pink and florals.
Yeah. I don't do flowers very well.
Your patriotic things were a big hit in my house because I'm sure I mentioned it to you several times that my living room used to be all Maxine Thomas. Like any decoration in there was Maxine Thomas.
Well, I appreciate that. Yes,
So,
I've done a lot of patriotic because of my last 50 years.
mm-hmm. And they were all so beautiful, and the bird houses and everything. I just love them, of course, and everybody knows them. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't imagine somebody not knowing them, you know?
Yeah. The CD cabinet was a good thing. I'm lucky to have gotten that first.
I think I still have one. I still have that CD cabinet. So I have moved on since then, unfortunately, to say, to the purples and the greens and the spring colors.
Yes, that's okay.
But you know, I love your design.
Gotta be room for everybody.
You did do some spring designs, and I did love them. So I know you have the
I do because I like to be able to change things in the house. So I do like to do things where there's an interchangeable seasonal surface.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have to do spring whether I want to or not.
Definitely. You say you started in oils and now you're predominantly acrylic. Mm-hmm. Do you have a favorite medium between them, or are you?
No, I went from oils right to acrylics. It fed my impatient spirit. Frankly, watercolor scares me to death. You can't fix it, you can't antique it. So there you go.
This is true. Well, they watercolorists would beg to differ on the fixing. They have ways of doing things, but the antiquing, I think they'd have to agree with you. Mm-hmm. Do you have a favorite technique?
A mop brush. I love to use a mop brush so that I can blend well and I don't have to be afraid of my floating color. I can walk out color easily. I can do things with my mop brush that I couldn't do with just a float. So I have taught that for many years.
And I think we all have a Maxine mop.
In fact, someone asked me the other day if there's a video of the mop brush technique, and I told them there is one on YouTube, Maxine's mop technique. I look like a child, but the technique is still the same. It was several years ago at one of the conventions.
Isn't that funny to look back on yourself?
Oh my goodness, yes.
So so would you say, the next question is, would you say that the Maxine's mop is also your favorite brush?
Yes. And I guess it's because others have come out with the brush made out of goat hair. And that was the best thing because at the time, the mop brushes were big and fluffy and black. And so they really didn't do the job I wanted them to do. And so when I asked Cornell to send me what they had, they sent me all these long black-haired ones. And I said, this is not going to work. So they asked me what I would like, and I sent them a Bringle blender. Do you remember the little short-handled Bringle blender from years and years ago? That was the perfect brush for me. It had the perfect bounce, perfect size. And they sent me back this green handled brush with white hair that was absolutely perfect. Because the white hair, I could tell if I'd just been into a shade or a highlight, of course. But I told them, I'm sorry, I don't do green. And of course, they could just see them rolling their eyes saying, oh my gosh, these artists. But they said, what color would you like to have, Maxine? I said, purple. Purple is magic. And so they sent me a brush that had a bright lavender handle and then told me that I couldn't have it because that was the cheap brush line. So I said, okay, what can I have? And they said, navy blue. So I said, that's fine. That's half a purple. So before long, all of those that they made up with that ugly handle color went, and all of the navy blue ones went. And so they called me back and said, we would like to put your name on the brush and we'll give you a purple handle. I said, nah, I don't need my name on the brush. I don't need that out there. And they said, we'll pay you. We said, okay, I can be bought. So every time somebody bought a Maxine's mop, I got 4 cents. And it was big at first.
And everybody's got one too. So
Right.
4 cents can add up.
Unfortunately, they've been discontinued. But Brushes and More are having them made again by King Art, so they should be available again soon. Probably not with the purple handle. But that's okay. It's the white goat hair that works.
Will you still get the 4 cents?
No. I don't need that anymore.
That boat has sailed, huh? But
yeah.
That's wonderful, though. What an honor, though. You know?
It was.
Absolutely. What would be your best tip that you would give a student?
The best tip to give a student? Well, my latest best tip, of course, is Post-it notes. It's a silly little thing. But it helps me when I'm dry brushing because I love to dry brush highlights. Because I like highlights in the center of things if they can be there. But if they're on an edge, it's a little difficult to get a nice sharp edge. So I like to put a Post-it note down, do my dry brushing, pull off my Post-it note, which is of course like if you wanted to put a piece of tape down, but that takes too much time for me. So I like Post-it notes, I like dry brushes, and I like mop brushes. And I'm a flat brush user, but I always tell my students, if angle brushes work for you, you go there.
So you're an instant gratification type person, right?
Yes,
you are.
Absolutely.
Darlene is asking, will they still be called Maxine's mops?
I don't know. He didn't know if he could get them to put my name on it or not. Okay. But I will be letting everyone know when they're available. Excellent. And what they look like.
Excellent. So what kind of dry brushes do you prefer?
I like Lunar blenders. They're the same brush that Holly uses in all of her painting, only she uses it wet. I use it dry. I use the size 3/8 and 1/2 inch. It's the Princeton with the kind of turquoise handle. Mm-hmm. And it's a flat one. I'm a failure at the dome ones. I make too harsh a circles, so I like the flat ones better. Excuse me.
That's good to know. I have both, and I do go between them. There's sometimes I like the flat one, and sometimes I do the round ones, the dome ones. It's a lot of people have taken your classes, so that's wonderful. So keep them coming, and if you have any questions, please help me out and fill, the rest of the 30 minutes we have left with some more questions. I only have like 17, and you answered 3 of them like with one sentence.
Oh, I'm talking too much.
So it's like, but we can come up with a bunch of, I know you've got a lot of stories in you, so.
A few.
Yeah, we can come up with a few. What, is there a medium or a technique or something, a subject that you haven't done yet that you would like to try?
I tried colored pencils once, and I really liked the little class and never got back to it. And so I would like to do colored pencils, and maybe I would even like to try watercolor so I wouldn't be so afraid of it. But I just really like acrylics, and I like the color palette that I use is fallish and Christmas.
That would be cool.
Mm-hmm.
Colored pencils are, from what I see when I watch Lydia and Janelle and Mark do them, they really look easy.
Yeah.
I've got
enjoyed the one class I took.
Yeah, I've got a set, and it's like I don't do it, but I have a bunch of pencils.
Mm-hmm. I took it from Kelly Horning.
Did you? Yeah, I did.
Yeah, it was a good class.
She's awesome. Let's see. Do you plan to continue travel teaching?
I would love to travel teach, but I'm really enjoying doing Zoom classes. And I can do that, which is helpful to both of us because I can charge less money for the class. They don't have to pay for my room and board and everything. So the chapters kind of get a better deal. And so I mostly love going to conventions so I can see a whole bunch of you at one time.
Yes. Is there, Lana's asking, are you glad to be back in Utah?
Oh, yes. I love these mountains. They've always been in my heart. So I always felt displaced in all 32 places. It's interesting with where you grow up, how that's kind of inbred.
Yeah,
home is home.
Yeah, home is home. Lana's wondering about whatever happened to accent paints, because I know you in all the paintings I've done, you always use the accent, the blue and the barn red a lot. Mm-hmm. So do you have a story as to whatever?
Those are country colors.
The country colors, whatever happened to accent?
I used them because they had a full body. They were thicker paint because I put water down, and so it breaks down the paint a little bit. And then they started going away, and so I had to find a new paint. And at the Reno convention, the Delta lady came to me to tell me about Delta paint in my booth, and Doxy Keller came to me and told me about DecoArt paint. And so I, of course, jumped on that bandwagon because it's the same consistency. It's full-bodied as Country Colors was. Back in the day, we used to use roseberry and what was it? Bridgeport blue, bridge something. Everything in fashion and in furniture were those two colors there for a while in the 80s. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Bridgeport, I remember that a lot. Mm-hmm. So Rosie's asking, besides wood or canvas is her favorite surface. Do you have a favorite surface?
Wood is my favorite because it antiques beautifully. And I just have always had that need to antique and soften the colors, make them warm. Unfortunately, that's kind of going away now. You know, that kind of style. Everyone is more tuned to the brighter colors, to florals. I mean, I certainly see a lot of it still out there, but my kids don't decorate that way.
No, but up in New England, when I go to the craft fairs, they always people up here gravitated to the more country folk art, antique kind of rustic items. Seems to be very, popular.
Whenever I go to the East Coast, I always go antiquing there to all the shops I can get. So I have wonderful collections of old tin and rolling pins and saltware and spindles that I brought them all from back east.
There you go.
I told my kids, you're going to make a lot of money when I pass on because I have an antique mall here.
There you go.
There aren't any antique malls around here. Nobody likes this stuff.
Yeah, antiques are different between the East Coast and the West Coast. Because when I go over to the West Coast, I look at some of the antique stores. I'm like, no. Not the same.
It's not the same.
Go ahead.
I actually bought my house to go with my antique stuff. So I bought a vintage house so that this stuff looks like it belongs here.
We all need pictures of that.
Yes.
Let's see. There was a question. Karen is asking, since you have done oils, have you tried Genesis? Have you tried the Genesis line?
I did try Genesis, but I'm just still too impatient. I just want to blow dry and get on with it, and finish this design because it's just my thing.
And there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I am an instant gratification person too. I like it done. I tend to make holes. If I don't get her done, it's like I tend to go like Joe Sonia paints. I love the vibrancy, but I tend to overwork it and create craters, so it's not a good thing.
I remember with Genesis at convention, the very first time they had Genesis at convention, and they had those big ovens out in the foyer for you to go out and cook your designs.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they did. And now they have heat guns or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is much better than going out and baking them. Cindy's asking, is there a mountaintop moment that stands out through the years in your career? A moment when you felt the most content or satisfied with your career? Good question, isn't it?
Yeah. I guess it was when my first book was published. And I actually had it in my hands because that was a trial for me, because Sushi told me she wanted me to do a book and it had to be 80 pages long, at least 16 designs. And I thought, how could I ever do that? But when I actually had it in my hand and it sold so well, I felt like I'd been blessed. And I actually had a conversation with my Heavenly Father and told him if I could be successful, I would never teach on Sunday. So that's kind of why I feel like I've been successful, because I've kept that promise.
And you never teach on Sunday.
No, it's been kind of frustrating for chapters, because they hire me, their people have to take off a day, but I've kind of stuck to it.
Yeah, well, you made that promise. Karen, as a designer, do you look at what the Pantone colors for any given year or season are and utilize that purposefully in your new designs?
I actually don't change my colors. I haven't for years. I've used the same colors, and there's 30 of them. A lot of people say I use a lot of colors. I use too many colors because there's always at least 21 or 25 in a design. But they're the ones I like, and I feel like a design needs to have a base coat, a medium color, and then at least 2 shades and 2 highlights. So that's 5 bottles of paint for each hue. And I just haven't ventured much. I did venture into neons, the Hot Shots colors that became neons colors. I love them, but I didn't like the pink and blue and yellow. I just like the green and red. So I ventured a little bit, and I do try new colors when Deco Art sends them to me, and I do put them in new designs. Like I put in the sand gray to do my base coating for snowmen, and nobody has it, so they always want to know what it is. So I have to tell them to put a little gray into light buttermilk to make it. But I want to help out the paint company too, so I do have new ones in from time to time.
And you don't like the neons blue?
It was too electric for me. I like those country blue colors, and so it would just didn't do the deed.
When I first was doing your designs and you had us use the fiery, at that time, Hot Shots fiery red, and I'm like, wow.
Yep. That's what most reactions were.
So it's like, the blue is the same. I mean, what's the difference? Yeah. But I've used it many times. So whenever I would do someone else's designs and it just wouldn't have what your designs had, I'd go pull that out and I'd add it. And I'm like, yeah, now there it's done.
Yeah. There, before that came out, it was always difficult how to highlight red. You'd either highlight it with making pink or making orange. And I didn't like either one of them. And Neon's red highlights any kind of red, a dark red, a light red, an orange red, blue red, doesn't matter. It just brightens it, makes life easy.
It does. So Nancy's asking, do you prefer to paint different styles of Santas or the country still lifes? Like, do you prefer to paint one over the other?
I like, I've done so many Santas. Every time I get a blank piece of paper, I think, what could Santa be doing now? Or what can the snowman be doing now? But I end up doing that. For seminar projects, you've really got to get more, develop a bigger design. So that's why I always do the still lifes with lots of things in that I can teach different things in them. I try to get some metal in there and some wood in there and a little bit of everything for different techniques to try and teach whatever I can.
And you do in your classes, if you're out there who's never had a class with her, she tries to give you so many tips and tricks that, it's a really enjoyable but very educational class. So everyone should take at least one class, at least. Once you do, you get hooked. You got to take them all. So that's just the way it goes. So let's see. Cindy Mann Vitale, thank you for being here. She goes, I love Maxine's philosophies for design and painting. Very down to earth and practical. What a lovely, personable, and special lady.
Oh, Cindy, back at you. She is too, and I love her, what she does also.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
That's nice words from someone who does the same thing. It's always a nice thing to hear.
So when did you start doing conventions?
I started doing conventions probably in the early, mid-90s, I think. And my first major convention was Portland, Oregon, which was probably 30 years ago.
Wow. So was there any, because, unfortunately we're down to possibly 3 conventions if they can see through the COVID. So were there, back in the day when there was one every month, I swear, was there one that was your favorite or maybe not necessarily favorite, but one that you looked forward to the most?
That would be Hoot. I think that was everybody's favorite for a long time. Those ladies just always did such a good job, and it was the same ladies, so there were never any real problems they had to fix because they'd done it for so long. They knew what they were doing. And now we have that same kind of expertise with Oklahoma, because we have people who have done conventions forever doing Oklahoma. And so they do it upright. Yeah. And Net also, because they've been doing it so long. They all do a good job.
It's going to be 21 years. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they missed last year because of COVID, but yeah, they started in either 99 or 2000 because I was part of that.
And I just bless all those ladies because, they've been doing it such a long time and hanging in there with us because it's a lot of work.
It certainly is. And I'll tell you, doing a virtual convention is not any less work.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Thank God for my village. They've all been working very hard and a lot of hours and helping me as best they can remotely. And I thank all of them because it's wonderful. Let's see. Susan wrote, Maxine, I have taken at least 7 or 8 classes from you. Well, that's
thank you very much.
Yeah. So when was your last child out of college?
My last child out of college would have been Tara. 2004, I guess.
That's a while ago, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My
So,
kids are all older. I have a 50-year-old.
wow, cool. Yeah, you
I'm
should.
one of the ancients, but I don't mind it. Every one of these wrinkles is wisdom.
I know, but I was thinking you must have been 10 when you had him, right? Well, I'm sure they all agree that you look really good for however old you are.
Thank you.
And I think that, do you find that your artwork keeps you young and young-minded?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And now you've traveled, I know you've traveled so many places, and most recently, what, just a couple years ago, right? Now, has it been 2 years that you were on the mission?
It was 4 years ago. Time travels
Already 4.
fast. Yeah.
Wow.
We were on a mission for our church in Guam, and it was a wonderful experience.
So what kind of things did you do on this mission to Guam?
We belong to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the Mormons, and being military, we could get on bases. Well, there's 2 military bases in Guam that the missionaries could not get onto to teach unless they had someone who had ID cards could get them on the bases. So we were there to help the missionaries get on to teach, but we were also there to help, like the young Navy wives. They get married to their Navy husband and go to Guam, and then their husband goes out for 6 months on a ship. And so we kind of took care of those little wives that didn't know what they got themselves into. And I also taught classes there for the arts and crafts department for the military. And it was interesting because I walked in with one of my books because I wanted to volunteer. And she says, "Oh, this would be wonderful. How much do you charge?" I said, "Oh, this is volunteer." And she said, "Really? You can do that?" I said, "Yes, I can." And so I did teach painting classes while I was there to servicemen's wives.
That sounds really excellent. I mean, can you imagine any of you out there being one of those servicemen's wives and Maxine Thomas walks in and says, "Here, I'm going to teach you a lesson for free." It's like, what are the odds? But that's wonderful. So in a way, also for you, it kept your skill level
Mm-hmm.
current
Yeah.
as well. So you didn't have to start over again when you got back home. So how
Mm-hmm.
long were you there again for?
I was there for 18 months with my husband. In fact, I did book 18 while I was there.
Did he, is it like partly did his military background help in a lot of ways?
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So that
We
was,
were in the military the whole time. Of course, he was an officer, and so we had good situations wherever we were. That's how I learned to paint, was in the Officers' Wives Club. So it's been a great boon to me. And I got married to him, never being out of Utah. And I got married and drove to Fort Belvoir, Virginia, and had to go find a job in Washington, D.C.
so you,
I grew up really fast.
yeah. So I was going to say, so you actually lived what these wives were dealing with in Guam and having their husbands go off to sea, or, you actually lived through that. You have personal experience so you could help them.
My husband went to Vietnam. I had to stay home. Yep, all of that.
Yeah, it's not easy being a military wife, I'm pretty sure.
No.
Yeah. Well, that's wonderful though. I mean, what a blessing for them and a blessing for you. And you both were able to get home safe after your wonderful journey. Let's see, Gwen wrote, "Hello, Maxine and Cindy from Porter, Texas, just north of Houston."
Oh my goodness, are they freezing to death?
I think so. The first class I took from Maxine was at a painting store, Jenny's, Janeves, in Spring, Texas,
Mm-hmm.
owned by Evelyn DeCharo. and had to have been in the 90s, maybe. Can't remember the exact year. I love your designs, Maxine, exclamation point. I own all the books you created and many, many of your patterns from over the years.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciated people buying those books because, like I told you, they educated my children.
And yes, and it's amazing how, well, back then you probably did better. I mean, I know over the years books got less and less. So
they got less and less.
Yeah. Maxine, thank you for teaching military families your talent. Truly heartwarming. My daughter is a military wife. So and I bet you don't know how many lives you've touched over the course of your career, whether through painting or just your kindness or,
I have been blessed to have best friends all over the world. I'm very lucky.
Yes. And I never knew how many people I knew until I started thinking about it and going to convention and everyone's saying, hi, hi, hi. So I understand that's really cool. -15 here this morning.
Oh my, oh my.
Yeah. I see that Texas is getting another snowstorm coming their way.
So sad for them.
Yeah, I saw it on the news tonight.
Portland, Oregon, and Washington, they're both being hammered with ice storm.
Yeah, and they lost their power as well. So, but in a way, not that it's any better, any worse, but Oregon, is used to bad weather. There's the snow,
Right.
Texas, my girlfriend who's in Austin, they don't know what to do with it. They don't have, they don't have electricity, means they don't have any heat. And the pipes in the walls are so thin that her shower pipe froze. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like
heart breaks for that.
Yeah, everything stopped. Nobody left the house yesterday. Thank you, Pauline. It's lovely to learn the personal side of our beloved teachers. Yes, it is. And that's why I'm doing it, because I want to bring the teachers to you, the students, and the students to the teacher. And I get to meet you all, and I get to hear your lovely stories and share them with everyone. So thank you for.
We're lucky that you do this, and you've done a lot for us with your webinars and everything. I'll bet painting has doubled back again, because now people can do it at home and they don't have to go anywhere where they were.
There's so many reasons. Yeah, there's so many reasons why people couldn't leave their houses, and unfortunately COVID kind of boosted everybody's interest in learning, because Zoom's the only thing left, computer's the only thing left for them to do if they're locked down. I feel badly about that. I would never wish a pandemic on this world ever, but it has got more people to at least try using the computer as an educational tool. And so thank you all for taking that leap and trying that, whether it's with Artful Webinars or going to Maxine's chapter courses, or any other person, teacher out there, or chapter, that group of people that get together with Zoom. But thank you, because I think it's a great gift that we had in front of us, that we all kind of went, we don't want to do that because we're computer illiterate.
Oh, yes. We know about that with me.
And we are all that way. We all start. I say I have a love-hate relationship with computers. It's when they're working, I love them. When they're not, I hate them. But it is what it is. Did you see that Greece has snow today? No, it did not. Are they not supposed to have snow? I guess not. Let's see. What is Maxine teaching for? Oh, yes, that's a good question. So what are you teaching? Do you have show and tell with you that you can show them what you're teaching for Artful Webinars?
I can teach you. This is on Saturday. There we go.
So that's for the convention, right?
Yes. And by the way, if you signed up for this class, you must know that I always make a mistake and call black forest green, dark forest green. So I've had a lot of people say to me, I can't find dark forest green. Will black forest green work? And yes, and I don't know if I'll ever be able to get that in my head. Plus, the last time I taught it, I realized that I left the color of the bird off, and that's heritage brick.
Yeah, I had gotten a call on that one, and that isn't the convention one. That's just the repeat class.
Convention.
Yeah.
This is next week.
It's adorable.
It's the convention.
Oh, I love that one.
Let's see. Yep. It's also on a 10-inch scoop plate from Pinecraft Ink. Santa cookie jar. And lots of, there we go. Lots of candy sticks. Hot cocoa.
I didn't notice the candles at the top of the tree. That's kind of cool.
I have a candle of some kind in most all my work. I think it gives us, light means learning and all kinds of things.
Yep. It's beautiful. And I like the hot cocoa marshmallows.
Yeah.
So, so that's what you're teaching for the convention. And I think there may still be a couple seats left. I'm not sure. It might be sold out, but yeah, that's gorgeous. So where else? I mean, I know you've got a lot of teaching dates on your schedule. And so what else, what other wonderful things are you doing?
Let's see. This is one that I'll be doing in California in July for the sleepover thing that's not going to be a sleepover there. And let's see. Sorry to leave you. This is my seminar piece now. And I'll be teaching this at the end of the month for a chapter.
Wow, a lot of detail in that one.
Mm-hmm. That's all the seasons on one tray.
Wow. Yeah, I recognize. Yeah. So that's going to be, that's not a one-day thing.
It's going to be, yep, because all my projects require all the homework done. And if you get the homework done, then we're good to go. We can do that.
Nancy's asking if and when traveling is permissible again, is there a particular country or a place you would like to teach again?
I love teaching in Italy. I go there every other year. Unfortunately, last year was canceled and this year is going to be a Zoom class. It's beautiful there. They take very good care of me. I love teaching in Japan. They are incredible painters. And I love teaching all over the US. Like I said, I just have best friends everywhere, and it just is wonderful. I've been so blessed in my life.
I love to hear more stories about like teaching in Italy and teaching in Japan. I had a goal a few years ago, and I said I wanted to go to Italy because I really wanted to teach in Italy, but really I just wanted to go to Italy. And my husband said, you know what, let's go to Italy on our way to Greece. I'm like, okay. So I got to be in Venice for 2 days, but that's it. There's still a lot of Italy I love to see.
Oh, yes.
So that'll be one of my bucket lists, but I've always wanted to go there to teach. So when you went to Italy, where did you go? Did you
I go to Bologna, and of course I visited Venice and Florence, but my teaching has been in Bologna.
And do you stay in someone's home? Do they put you up in a hotel?
Oh, there's a wonderful hotel nearby. It's for Erica's Country Painting. And that's the place where we all go and eat afterwards. We all go and have a feast after the class. all the students. It's great.
When you teach, do you take the afternoon nap? You know, the afternoon
Siesta?
siesta?
No, they don't want you to go away. In fact, they don't want you to leave until they're absolutely done. So it's a long day, but it's wonderful.
Cool. And then when you were in Japan, where did you go there?
Oh, in Japan, I went to 5 cities when I went to Japan. It was a 2-week adventure, and they had me come and teach a intermediate project and an advanced project to 5 different cities where they had teachers come and take my classes, and then they went out and taught the project to their students. So I got to see Japan from the very top to the very bottom.
Wow, that's exciting. I had hopes to go there last March, then postponed till October. Now we're postponed till September, and I still not sure if we're gonna go. Right?
Yeah. Our lives are all up in the air have been for a year, and we don't know when they'll settle down.
No, we don't, unfortunately. Well, it's been a lovely hour spending it with you, Maxine. Thank you so much.
Thanks to all of you who came and chatted with me.
Yes, and if
painted with me all these years.
And if you have any questions for her, if you think of any now after the interview is over, feel free to tag her, and that means put that little @ sign in front of her name, and she'll be notified that you have a question for her, and then she'll answer it.
I will.
And so if you've ever painted with her, remember you promised to finish those designs that you painted with her. So please finish them and post them in the group or on her. Do you have a Facebook page too, right?
Yes.
And what is that?
Country Primitives.
So go there and post the picture of your finished product and tell her, it'd be fun if they tell you when they started it. And then
yes, I would love that. Yes, and I do have a page under Maxine Thomas also, of course.
Yeah, so go there and post when you started the project and when you finished it, because she would love to see it. I would love
to see it.
So thank you so much, everyone. And don't forget, we've got more Make It and Take It's coming up. And the convention is in March 16th through the 21st. It's going to be like a real convention. If you haven't seen the chatter, I sent out goodie bags to almost everyone. I still have a load that I have to send out, but I sent out goodie bags. So they're all dumping them out to see all the wonderful things they got, just like when they went to a real convention in person.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, and they're all loving it. So it's still time. You still have time to sign up for those wonderful classes. 24 classes, 16 Make It and Take It's, and 13 demos is a lot.
You have done a big deal for us, girlfriend.
And a vendor show and a kickoff party. So come check it out. And if you have any questions for me, you know where I am. Have a great evening, everyone. Take care.
Love you all. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.